Under President Muhammadu Buhari's administration, from inception 2015 up till now, there has been great progress and giant strides taken that have impacted people, Nigerians, all over in monumental ways. As we moved about town this past week doing our research, talking to Nigerians, we found that perhaps at different points in time, because of where some people were or what they were doing, some are not quite aware of some of the giant strides that have been taken in different facets of our community, of our environment, of our states, in our country. And that's what we'll be doing here on Weekend Deal today. We're talking about achievements of the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration from 2015 up till now. As a Nigerian, what do you know? It's our responsibility here at the Nigerian Television Authority to keep you in the loop about things that can progress not just Nigeria, but can impact you in long-lasting ways. We invite you to be a part of our package today so you can learn, so you can share, and so you can get positively impacted. Welcome to our program. My name is Thelma Obase, and we will be right back. In putting together our packages on Weekend Deal as is usual, we go on fact-finding mission. Some Nigerians have ranked the President Muhammadu Buhari administration 95%, talking about agriculture. What about health? What about the rail, transportation, and others? Well, Francis is the one that will tell us about this. Francis, let's set the ball rolling.
Exactly 7 years ago, Muhammadu Buhari took the oath of office as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria with a promise to serve Nigeria faithfully in all aspects of national life. How far so far?
They have been able to bring up a presidential order and follow up the presidential order, which allow funds to go direct to the government, local government administration. That is a big achievement.
One of the greatest achievements of this administration is the revitalization of the agricultural sector with so many programs. One of such is the Anchor Borrowers Program launched by President Muhammadu Buhari on November 17, 2015. The Central Bank of Nigeria has disbursed more than 800 billion naira to more than 4 million smallholder farmers of 23 different commodities, including rice, wheat, maize, cotton, cassava, and soya beans.
In the area of Anchor Borrowers, we got it wrong in the sense that we concentrated on the rice. We forget that there are other commodities like beans. There are other commodities like wheat. There are other commodities like maize, which they just start now. And the huge amount of money which will have go direct to farmers are being given to city farmers. Our rural populace, they will only go take their names, bring their names to CBN, use the name, take the money. If you go to the rural farmers, they got nothing. So we must rejig our Anchor Borrower system to reflect our society.
The Presidential Fertilizer Initiative is another milestone achievement of this administration. Launched in January 2017 as a government-to-government agreement with the Kingdom of Morocco. Since then, more than 1 million metric tons of fertilizer has been produced.
Presidential Fertilizer Initiative fantastic. It's a success. Even if you want to criticize that, it's a success story. And you can see even Dangote has been encouraged by the same government to put up another fertilizer plant. Why do smallholders of fertilizer plant are also being encouraged by presidential initiatives? So that one is helping the agricultural sector.
President Muhammadu Buhari would most likely be remembered as the best farmer-friendly president. The rice revolution and quantum leap in local production of grains, cotton among others, attest to a new era of genuine economic diversification through agriculture. One of the chief drivers of the growth in agriculture is the Nigerian incentive-based risk-sharing system for agricultural lending. It has moved Nigeria forward like never before in the entire agro-business value chain.
We are agrarian society, and as agrarian society, be you from aquatic society, can promote them by buying trawlers for the youth there to go into high sea, get streams, get fish. Streams is even costlier than crude, and make them billionaires on their own. They don't even need to know Abuja or take any loan. Then, instead of giving them the market women, instead of going to be giving them 20,000, which you monetize, because when you give them that money after 1 month, go back, the money is gone. But you keep processing plant for them of whatever they are producing. They'll be there and they'll maintain it and they'll be making money.
Despite the daunting challenges confronting the health sector, President Muhammadu Buhari was able to make Nigeria achieve zero polio cases, thus making Africa polio-free. Also, Nigeria's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic was highly commendable. Despite the achievement recorded within 7 years of this administration, Nigerians are still yearning and asking for more.
And that is why we came out to say, yes, the programs are good, but add more value to the program so that Nigerians will see. We have to rejig those anchor borrower program to be able to now go into rural areas.
Our focus on Weekend Deal today will be on assessing the 7 years of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration.
Thank you, Francis. The Honorable Minister for Health, Dr. Sage Hanire, is here, and we welcome you, sir.
Thank you for inviting me.
Fantastic. We'll be having a detailed chat with him in a short while, but first up, let's see this feature about health.
Recommended funds for the health sector, if you want some good improvement, should be at least 15% of your budget. We've never gotten beyond 5%. You see that the infrastructure will be obsolete. You discover that the human resource gap has always been an issue. These gaps that have resulted in decay of the infrastructure, resulted in very few human resources available to meet the growing population. Even the few health workers available will seek greener pastures. The demand is so high and they depend mostly on government facilities.
You go to some of the hospitals, you don't get anything you want to get there. People are working there as if they are not being empowered or they are not being trained. Because, when you compare the services you get from the government hospitals and that of the private hospital, you discover that the private hospitals are more trained than the government hospital.
Health-wise, they are trying. And our population as well, the medical facilities that are run, the population have overstressed it.
Government is doing its best to see how we can improve our own health facilities. We've had a lot of issues with maternal mortality. We've had a lot of issues with infant mortality, under 5 mortality. Our immunization rates have not been the best. Our health insurance coverage is still requires a lot of work so that we can have more people in the pool of the insurance and more funds available to provide health care, especially for the underprivileged. That will improve on our coverages. It will positively impact on the services provided.
We've been taking some of our patients to the hospital, so we see how some of the doctors are, some nurses are doing, of which we sometimes we just get annoyed and we take our patient to another hospital.
The doctors and nurses, I can say, they are not fairly treated, and it has affected their services to the masses, because it is when someone is satisfied before the person can render good services.
Most of our hospitals now, we have been able to improve the services we provide by the mere fact that we have very highly skilled health professionals in the FCT providing service in our public health facilities and many of the private health facilities in FCT, compared to what used to be the case a few years ago, 10 years back. You could count the number of consultants providing specialized care in FCT. What we need to do is that to improve on this number, we need many more, as well as to make sure that the equipment they are working with are also modern and up to date.
For emergency cases, there should be provision, irrespective of maybe, or especially accident, irrespective of, you have somebody or not. There should be drugs, there should be cards, there should be people to attend to emergency cases.
A lot of efforts have gone into COVID, and these have rubbed off on the health sector positively. Many more health facilities have many more modern equipment. Many health workers have received more skills. Many have been exposed to more knowledge. This era of virtual trainings providing improved facilities should go beyond COVID so that it is sustained. We should be able to open up more regional area centers of expertise, excellence, okay, so that people have more access to modern healthcare facilities.
You're here with us and is going to expatiate on that introduction. It's great to have you with us on Weekend Deal.
Thank you.
Who knew there'd come a time where people will say they are not being well received at hospitals? Is customer service important or vital when one is ailing?
Well, healthcare in Nigeria is undergoing changes, undergoing improvement. We want to expand the scope. We want to go for universal health coverage to make sure that more Nigerians receive healthcare. And you know that the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund has been provided as seed money to start that for the poor and vulnerable. The National Health Insurance Agency has been created and signed into life by the President, that will make health insurance mandatory for all citizens, so we can improve the fiscal space for health, and the number of Nigerians who can access health care will increase. At the same time, we are improving the quality and also the capacity of the human resources for health.
What period of time are we looking at?
Well, it's a continuous work in progress. It's not something that ever ends anywhere in the world. But we are working at a very furious pace, and not only what we have achieved, but what we have planned. There are a lot of things that are in the pipeline, including medical emergency services, which did not exist here before in a coordinated sense. I already spoke of the health financing, and also the call for renewed investment and improved investment in primary healthcare, basic healthcare, which is the foundation of healthcare in all countries and in all places.
When you say improve, now where are we now? Where are we with primary healthcare?
We have drawn up a new design for a primary healthcare center. We should now be able to offer care to patients 24 hours a day. Before now, they were operating like offices. They open in the morning, close in the afternoon, and if you have a problem at night, God bless you. But now we want a 24-hour service, and they will be powered in rural areas with solar energy, and they will have water supply. There must be a borehole, and there must be dedicated staff who can offer service in shift 24 hours a day, so you have somewhere to go to at any time of day. We're also introducing the emergency medical service that is there to evacuate patients in distress, so patients do not have to struggle for their own transport if they are moving from one level of care to the other. Yes.
I like the word furious pace. How soon?
Well, it's a matter of how much resources we can get and how we can get all the layers of government and also our partners to buy into the plans that we have.
How convinced are they?
Well, some of them are convinced, others will take time to be convinced. The delivery of healthcare is not only at the discretion of the federal government, it involves state government, it involves local government, it involves partners and various other stakeholders. So once we are all keyed into government strategy, that is underlined by the National Strategic Development Plan and the Healthcare Development Plan, then we shall make more progress. And we have the necessary investment for it. We should be able to make the progress that we are looking for.
You know what? When I was growing up in Nigeria, I always used to like to listen to people who speak very well. You know, from what you have said, I'm convinced. But that furious pace and my conviction must match, because what we hope for, what we yearn for, is to see the reality. Then lives can be saved, Nigerians will be happy, and everything will be working together for good.
Yes, you're correct. The plans that we make have to be detailed. If you take the National Emergency Medical Service and Ambulance system, for example, it's new. It's what you might call a greenfield. It has been let us say, being provided in some states in one form or the other, but not coordinated in this way, because the key fact among the emergency healthcare delivery is that it's given to you at no cost at point of care. If you have to pay and you can't afford it, then that's not an emergency medical service. Secondly, it must be comprehensive. It must be able to provide a wide range of services, not just accidents, but also emergencies in delivery. If you have complications with delivery, with pediatric emergencies, it has to be a broad scope. And planning it and looking for the software that will operate it and the strategy for it it's not very easy, but we are making progress, and we are hoping to launch this service with FCT in the foreseeable few weeks. But we're also working with the private sector in that respect, because all the ambulances in this country at the moment are not sufficient. So we are pooling both public sector and private sector ambulances to be able to operate this system once we have the blueprint certified.
Finally, before I delve into COVID-19 and manageability from that time up till now, I want to ask you very honestly, what is your level of optimism that at least 25% of what you have discussed with us will become a reality before the end of PMB's
Well, we count on the understanding and the cooperation and collaboration of all participants and stakeholders. We are working with the private sector, again going back to emergency medical service. We are working with the private sector on a scale that is new, in that they are active partners here. They will be bringing their own ambulances in. So there has to be a necessary understanding of that. And also the zeal and also the resources. So we've had enough planning done to be able to launch and see how it works. With all the other services, it is going to go the same way. But once we have the understanding, I think it is going to take off.
Nigerians are praying along with you. The understanding
thank you.
And the commitment is critical, necessary, well required. Many have lauded how we handled COVID-19, you know, from when we had the Italian up to, I know I interviewed you several times talking about COVID and other health issues. Where are we now? Are we out of the woods?
No, with COVID-19, we are not out of the woods. We're not out of the woods. There are countries where the COVID-19 outbreak is still quite rampant. What is saving the world right now is that the fatality is not so severe as before. More people are surviving it, largely due to vaccination or due to development of passive immunity. So the need to continue to keep an eye on it is clear. We here in Nigeria are getting a very huge and generous supply of vaccines, and we are calling for citizens to come up and take the vaccination so that they are protected. And we're also making efforts to be a vaccine producing country. It may not necessarily be directly for the purpose of COVID-19 vaccines, because we have a good pool of vaccines right now. But for capacity to produce any other type of vaccines in the future, we are working on that very strongly. But the COVID-19 strategy that the president installed, what with the presidential task force, did quite a good job, because it looked at it from a very broad perspective, both from the point of entry that we had to look after, because most of the infections came in by air travelers, and also the management of those who were positive, the track and trace, and all the contacts who were being found, and the quarantine system. And it was very efficiently done at the time.
I'm sure you were hardly sleeping during that time.
Yes, it was a very difficult period, but I think we did manage to hold on to it. But I think in many ways also we're lucky country not to have been so adversely affected. But it was a very intense period, and also managing the information system, advising the public.
What have we learned from that?
Well, we have learned a lot. We have learned that there can be any public disease outbreak that can threaten not only a country but also the world, actually, because this one went everywhere, taking over 6 million lives. 6 million globally. That's a lot. And the fear that anything like that comes out again in future, how do we respond? So that's part of the global preparedness that Nigeria is participating in. But generally, our response was aided by the fact that we were very fast to begin taking measures, preventive and protective measures for the citizens and for the health system, and also had all the support that we requested from the presidency in terms of funding and approvals.
What do we hear about monkeypox?
Well, monkeypox is something that has hit the headlines now. It has always been there in the background, but it's hit the headlines now because of allegations that came up recently. But it is doesn't have a very high fatality. It does look hideous if you see the manifestation, and we are dealing with it. The national
Who is vulnerable?
NCDC. Well, virtually everybody, but it's a viral disease, and it affects. It manifests in a way that is very disturbing, and the national NCDC is looking after the strategy for handling it very well.
But are we giving it enough exposure? Do people know how to keep away?
It is part of the report that the Ministry of Health gets every week from NCDC. But you know that you had lots of other ailments like that had high fatality. Take, for example, cholera outbreak. Take, for example, Lassa fever. So we get all the reports, and COVID is, monkeypox is there too, but it's...
is it deadly? Is it fatal?
No, it
is it
not
often
as
fatal?
Deadly. It is not as fatal as Lassa or as cholera or as COVID, and it hasn't been that much of a problem in our country until recently.
So what ought we to do now as we speak of it?
With
what ought Nigerians to do?
Well, keep
since
hygiene.
It has come.
Well, keep hygiene. Well, it's always been there in the background. It's not something that has just appeared, actually. It has only just received some prominence. So we need to continue with the usual hygiene, particularly with contacts, and also report any sign immediately to doctors. We want to urge doctors and healthcare givers to also have a good enough index of suspicion when cases appear that look suspicious.
Before we wrap up,
in many ways, you might look at it. It's as a probably the same category as chickenpox or things of that nature.
Okay. Before we wrap up, many are looking at what can happen in the next 1 year. What is the Ministry of Health going to do for us? How are they going to impact us positively? What is the minister going to tell us today? A group of Nigerians say, yes, there is hope for the common man, for those in the rural areas. And tell us a bit about polio as you wrap up.
Well, polio, we have certified as polio-free. And,
for real?
And that has been a great victory because we're the last country in Africa. Right now, we're looking at what was generally called the circulating vaccine-derived polio, which we are also managing with novel polio, oral polio vaccination. So that one is getting under control now. So, but we are keeping a good eye on polio. But we are working on developing the primary health care. That is the foundation, to have these more of these centers where they are supposed to be, and supported by telemedicine, so doctors can advise the caregivers. If you can't have a doctor there, you can have the service of a doctor to advise on healthcare in primary centers, and also providing emergency medical service, so we can reduce the maternal mortality, under 5 mortality, and all those mortalities that are a problem to us. And at primary healthcare level also is an excellent opportunity for education, health education, to reduce vector-borne diseases, waterborne diseases, and vaccine preventable diseases. It will also improve the rate of vaccination and healthcare delivery to the poor and vulnerable, particularly in suburban areas and rural areas. So that's the most critical thing that we need to do.
I will tell you, though I said we'll wrap up, I'll tell you 2 things. First, we'll take this question from Samsia from Bayelsa. He says, what are the symptoms of monkeypox?
Well, the most dramatic symptom will be the emergence of effluences. That is to say, these little pustules on the skin that look frightening. That's the most dramatic and sure symptom. But you can have symptoms before that, like fever, malaise, tiredness, weakness, and those kind of pains that make you feel that things are not all right. But immediately those pustules appear on the skin, then you know that this is something to report to the doctor.
Okay, it's not fatal, but watch out for the symptoms, and Nigerians manage it well. Finally, you're a medical doctor yourself, and you have practiced for many years in different parts of the world. Where would you say Nigeria stands in terms of healthcare, health coverage? How are we doing? Percentage, 1 to 100, finally.
Well, I would say Nigeria has a long way to go. We have new ideas. We are, for example, looking at engaging Nigerians in diaspora, those who have very modern expertise, to be able to join us virtually, even if it's virtually or in person, and add to value here. But the path ahead is promising, and as I said before, if we get everybody on board, we have the health insurance, we have various plans to engage diaspora, to engage emergency medical service. We are in a position to move rapidly. And then, of course, not to forget the health reforms that are ongoing. The president ordered formed the health reform committee to improve services, and also the means of renewing equipment and training personnel, and financing health services. If we get all of that right, then we'll begin to move much more rapidly than we're moving now.
I like the word you use, furious pace. Nigerians are very optimistic, because if it touches one person, it's touching all Nigerians. We want to thank you, Honorable Minister for Health.
My pleasure.
For being here with us, Dr. Osagie Hanire. We have listened with rapt attention. We are optimistic that all the layers will fall in place, and that you continue to work assiduously for the benefit of all Nigerians.
We need the collaboration and cooperation of all Nigerians and all layers of government.
Thank you very much, sir. It's time to touch down with Susan. She's talking about agriculture, social interventions, financial impact. Susan, take it from here.
The starting point of any achievement is desire. It gives you the motivation, the driving power, ambition, and the energy to pursue any goal. 7 years ago, President Muhammadu Buhari took an oath of office, promising to serve Nigeria faithfully in all spheres of national life. For an average smallholder farmer, democracy might mean nothing if there is no conducive environment to plant and harvest.
Mr. President and the government of the present federal government had been able to achieve a lot under Mr. President because of the support that the government had received from the National Assembly. The support is in various forms. One is through the budgetary provisions that the National Assembly passed before they became acts that enabled Mr. President to focus attention in the various areas to improve the agricultural sector in this country. Secondly, the National Assembly has also passed a lot of bills on the agriculture sector. So the National Assembly is always there to assist, to do the best it can to ensure that the federal government achieves its objectives in the agricultural sector.
Agriculture was the mainstay of Nigeria's economy, upon which the country's nationalists founded their agitation for independence. Nigeria was a global player leading in agriculture in the 50s. It used to be one of the largest producers of groundnuts, cotton, and cocoa. The 7 years milestones present some of the achievements in the agricultural sector. Buhari's administration has recorded a huge success within 7 years. The country was importing major staples in the last decades. It is now a major producer and exporter of grains and vegetables.
Based on what is on ground now, and based on the projections and the plans of government, in the next 5 years, I strongly believe that if the programs are strictly adhered to, we will not only be food sufficient in Nigeria, but we will also be able to export, not only to our neighbors, our immediate neighbors, but to the whole of Africa. I believe so, and I think we will get there.
Investigation also reveals that access to fertilizer under presidential initiative led to the increase of individuals who have ventured into farming. More than 60 million bags of fertilizer were produced and sold to farmers under this initiative. 62 blending plants were resuscitated. Government-to-government partnership between Nigeria and Morocco in December 2016. That relationship has produced 30 million 50 kg bags of NKP, bringing the total production since inception to over 60 million 50 kg bags, and number of participation blending plants increased to 62 from the 4 that were in operation.
I'm fully aware that there is a government-to-government partnership between Nigeria and Morocco. So far, I think it is working. NPK is imported into the country, and we have a lot of fertilizer companies spread around the country. And I think government is doing a lot through that partnership with Morocco to ensure the availability of fertilizer in this country at the right time and at affordable prices for our farmers.
When agriculture prospers in a country like ours, the good news is that Nigeria will eat well, live well, and perform well.
Thank you, Susan. Nigerians, we eat well, live well, perform well. Optimal performance is so key in whatever your pursuit is in Nigeria. We're still talking about funds, social intervention schemes, and of course, many of us have heard about NASA. Some of us have even been impacted and touched positively by what they do. Let's get to meet the Managing Director and the Chief Executive Officer, Abdullahi Kure, of the Nassau Microfinance Bank. It's great to have you on Weekend Deal.
Thank you.
You've been here before.
I'll be here again.
It's great to be here again.
Thank
so
you.
we retouch,
Right.
reposition, re-strategize, and redirect. But for now,
yes.
let's learn a bit more about NASA, and then we come back for our chat. Finance is one of the key challenges smallholder farmers and small and medium-scale enterprises are facing in Nigeria. However, the introduction of Nassau Microfinance Bank, which was incorporated in 2019, aims to bridge this gap. Its approach tackles both the agricultural value chain and the agricultural financing value chain, with a clear mandate to process access to capital to small and medium-scale enterprises. This is one of the biggest milestone achievements of the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. But surprisingly, some people never got to hear about it.
I'm just hearing it for the first time that the government issued a COVID loan. And I would like to ask, on what platform was the information given
for some of us who didn't benefit from it, I think the government should have created more awareness through many places like the NTA, through the radio station. At least now, all these things now, many people now who are suffering in the country should have benefited from it.
Nassau Microfinance Bank is a central bank of Nigeria licensed institution with people-friendly loans. Its products include Agric Small Medium Enterprise Scheme, Targeted Credit Facility, Household Loans, Anchor Borrower Scheme, Youth Investment Fund, and non-interest banking.
Like for me, the aim was achieved because I go through it, I read, I applied, and I got the loan. The information was not properly disseminated, assuming they went to church, went to mosque, go door by door, go to wards and announce to people. Many people could have applied, and it should be free and fair sort of things. But now most people hijack it and use it to power their world.
Nigerians feel that this government is not doing anything. But honestly, they are doing a lot. But they have to put it in the doorstep of Nigeria. The National Orientation Agency is dead. It's not working. The Federal Ministry of Information are not doing much to at least tell the Nigerians that this is what these people are doing. It's so sad that upon all what they have achieved so far, nobody knows. It's so sad. So I'm aware of the loan, and I'm aware that they gave so many people the loan. But because of the way they manage information about the government, it seems as if it didn't happen. It's not true. So many Nigerians benefited for it.
Despite the huge success recorded by the National Microfinance Bank, some are still concerned about its sustainability. Thank you, Umar. Interesting, isn't it? We're taking away some very key facts from there, and facts because this was not planned. We just went to meet people and they spoke their minds. And of course, you already know I was talking with the managing director and the chief executive officer, Abdullahi Kure, of the Nassau Microfinance Bank. It's great to have you here.
It's my pleasure this morning.
Let's latch on to what we're getting from there. Yeah. Some say the information was not widely spread. Some say it was jacked or hacked by connected people, and some are concerned about its sustainability in terms of payback. Let's hear from you.
Okay, thank you. Let me start from the last point, issue of sustainability. Yes, sustainability is a joint effort, both by the manager of the bank and also those who took the loans. Because the federal government has done its bit through the central bank by providing cheap, accessible loans. So the people who took the loan, the beneficiary has obligation to also pay back so that the project can be sustainable. And other people, your brother, your sisters, your uncles can also access this loan because it's a revolving loan. If A does not pay back, B does not also get. And if you don't pay back, there are penalties around that. One, you can blacklist your BVN. You can't get any loan anywhere. The CRM is also there, will be recorded as if you have defaulted. And eventually, we can activate the GSI, Global Standard Instruction, a platform introduced by Central Bank to allow for debiting your account anywhere you have credit balances in the area of default. Once you default, we debit your bank, wherever you have banking system deposit, and then NLD will pay back. So, in order to avoid this type of thing, I ask people to pay back. That's the only way the project can be sustainable. Because some people take it as national cake.
Yeah.
It is not.
That is our part of the national cake.
Government has done a lot under the central bank to come out with this initiative. So if you use the money very well, you can reduce your poverty. You can enhance your life.
But it's a part of national cake, but it's payable national cake. You have to hold it in trust for a bit, and then you have to revert back to giver so that others too can hold.
I will not say it's a national cake. I can call it subsidized loan.
Okay.
Subsidy in the sense that you can't get this type of loan anywhere. That's why artisans, Uber drivers, tailors, all service people in the service sector have access. Commercial bank don't get type of loan. So Central Bank is really came out with this type of loan to ginger the SME sector, to allow people who ordinarily don't have assets and cannot pay collateral by way of assets to access this loan and say, okay, get this loan. So you also have obligation to ensure that this loan is paid back so that the place can be sustainable. On the area of awareness, yes, I know that we have done a lot. We have done jingles, we have done publications. I've appeared many times. NTA, my staff have also done.
Flyers.
Central Bank has also done a lot of documentary on NTA, on AIT. Even ourselves, we have done some documentary. So I know awareness has no limit. We'll continue to do it. That I agree. But if you look at statistics now, you know that there's awareness. Currently, even though the TCF, what the people call COVID loan, the portal has been closed since March last year, I can tell you we have over 10 million Nigerians looking for COVID loan.
What are their expectations? What should their expectations be?
Well, the truth of the matter, COVID is a circle. If you look at the pandemic, it is came out as a result of pandemic.
Someone is even talking about it right here.
The health crisis pandemic, but the pandemic is gradually going out, so we are gradually getting to the end of the cycle of the loan. However, Central Bank and Nigerian can come out another targeted credits in different form. May not be COVID loan, can be another loan to also impact and move the economy forward. But what essentially I'm saying is that based on the people that have applied, we already have enough numbers. So the challenge now, anywhere in the world, there's limited resources. So resources are limited. So that means you have to ensure that, one, because it's a subsidized loan, two, because resources are limited, we ensure national spread. We ensure all the geographic areas of the country that's spread. For those who think that some people are weakening it or hijacking the whole project, no. We ensure there's equal spread among states, equal spread among state geographical areas in the country. And also recognizing that, yes, some regions have more population than the other. That's why you find that, for instance, some states like Kano can have higher numbers, while some states that are lower and do not.
But how true is the information, rumored information, that you need to be connected to access it, and that many of those who are informed and involved are giving it to their own people?
That is not necessarily true, because even if you are connected, the first to ensure there must be geographical spread. And the people
you are
connected,
keeping with that.
Yes, we have a record to show what each geographical area has, what each state has. And even if you are connected, those who are connected are not looking for the loan for themselves. They are looking for people at the medium, at the lower level or segment of the economy. So essentially means it's reaching the desired target. So it's not a matter of
at the end of the day.
We have stories of people who applied, many. Somebody even mentioned it at one of the sessions I attended. That he doesn't know anybody. And that's the success story of the whole loan. He applied through the portal and then he got it naturally. And these are the people we normally target. And even if you are connected, you cannot bring huge numbers for us to do at the disadvantage of other regions or states.
You will not,
because we will make sure there's a spread.
That's very honorable of you.
All citizens of Nigeria.
That's
so
very
that
honorable.
Somebody don't come and say, oh, the loans are only concentrated in Abuja, or the loans are only concentrated in Kano.
So you've gone nationwide.
Or Delta, or even Imo.
You've gone nationwide.
Of course.
Let's talk about the interest rates. You were telling me earlier that it's not going to change. It's fixed.
Yeah, for now, Central Bank, the money policy rate that Central Bank jacked up doesn't necessarily influence the CBN intervention funds. Central Bank will now have to sit down and now say, okay, I want to jack the interest rate up from the current 5% that is structured to 9% after COVID. But the normal conventional banks loan that are based on commercial rates, that may change. Because the idea is to mop up funds for the economy so that they can manage inflation very well. So, but our loan, you know, is a social intervention, it's a social mission loan. It's supposed to be accessible and affordable. So affordability, that's why there is tendency that it may not change. But the fundamental thing is for people to pay back. The Central Bank has done a lot to allow even moratorium for 1 year, later increase to additional 2 years, so that people can have enough time because of the impact of COVID to pay back. So my emphasis now for loan drive recovery, so that people can pay back. Because if you don't pay back, those other people queuing may not have. So I urge Nigerians to ask people who have taken those loans to ask them to pay back. It's a kind of a joint liability. If you know your sister has taken loan, please talk to him, let him pay us, so that you yourself can get. Because if she doesn't pay or he doesn't pay, the next person on the queue cannot get. And if you don't pay, as I told you, we have mechanism why you have to pay. And we can blackmail you, you can't get loan in the banking industry. We can run the GSI, as I've said. And once we blackmail you, use your BVN, you can't even transfer in the banking industry until you come and you pay our money. So I don't want that to happen because it's a reputational issue. For organization to be sustainable, people have to also do their obligation by paying.
It is our hope that, do you continue to record success stories. But how has the payback venture been? Are people responding? What has happened so far?
Some people on their own, it's payback is a matter of integrity and reputation. So people don't want to say I have defaulted. But some people feel that this is part of their national cake. So those people that feel that this is part of their national cake will come out with a mechanism to enforce payment. So I want people not to look at national cake, because if you look at national cake, you are ordinarily telling us this project is not going to be sustainable.
Okay.
And if it's not sustainable, who suffers? The medium and lower people in the economy. Those are economically underprivileged are the ones that are supposed to access this credit. And you are supposed to even change your life. You're supposed to improve your life, improve the economy. And even today, it's a government can even gain by way of, if you set up a business now.
But are there cases where people can say, okay, I was to pay this loan in 2 years. This is the business I did with it. These are the challenges I faced. This is the outcome. Can I put forward what I have? And then can you stretch it for me? If you go and if there are checks and balances and you can monitor, are there ways you can assist such people?
Yeah, we are open to such this engagement, but you have to have genuine grant to come forward for us. If you have a genuine grant, we'll look at it and evaluate it and accept the structure of the law. It's done it's a conventional banking practice. Okay. But those who don't feel they will not pay and are hiding under the use of restructuring the loan or getting forbearance for us, it may not happen. Because the 2022 year we have made as a great year for us to drive repayment, to drive recoveries, so that the bank can be sustainable, so that other people on the queue can also access the loans.
When we talk about global standing instruction, what exactly are we talking about?
Okay, it's a framework established by central bank which helps to reduce the level of toxic asset or non-performing asset in the banking industry. How it works is this: if you default a loan, there's an offer letter that is contained in your offer letter issued to you by the bank that at default, the bank has the right to offset whatever you have in another bank. So once you default, that platform is activated. So wherever you have an account, bank A, bank C, bank C, the system will run around and say why you have money and debit that your account and credit back the person that gave you the loan or the body or the bank that gave you the loan. So that means that continuously the system will be checking your account. As you have credit balances, it will be debiting until you fully repay the loan.
How optimistic are you that Nassau can go beyond the current administration?
Yeah, I must say I'm hopeful because Nassau built a brand name. And I believe that new government will continue the legacy of Mr. President, which of course is also the initiative of the current governor, Dr. Mefele. So I hope whoever comes in will continue. Because if you look at it practically, the SME business or informal sector is the biggest engine room of the economy. So if you target that area, people get more employment. Quality of living improves. All those security issues will reduce. So I want to see that the bank has built a brand name that if tomorrow is no longer existing, I expect ordinary and medium people to come out and start protesting. That look, we need Nassau Bank to play its role,
like your
provide accessible loans to ordinary Nigerians. Because what we're talking is not the
accessible and interest friendly.
Yes. You can't get 5% interest rate loan anywhere in the banking industry. Go and check.
Really?
Yes, you can't, except for CBN and Nassau, another participating institution.
What is the usual rate? 10%?
Currently it's 5%. The bank's own is as much as 30%. The banks are ranging between 24 to 30%, if not more now. With the NPR going up, I expect the rates to also go up. But now it's a bit static to allow it to be affordable and accessible. So
we have a message here, but he didn't give us his name. But the long and short of it is that he says the disabled in Nigeria are being marginalized in terms of approval of loans. Of course, he says he and others have applied incessantly and they've not had a fruitful result. What can you tell us?
What I would say that disabled are many, and you know that anywhere in the world resources are limited. I had personally engaged disabled. I addressed a group of disabled last year. I think around June or thereabouts, about over 300 of them, and a lot of them have get the loans. I've gotten the loans. We went further to employ one of them, NASA. And currently, I was telling you, as I'm speaking, we already started engagement with Central Bank to see how they can fund some of these groups of these disabled or physically challenged. But I must say, we're going to filter them. It's only those who are economically active. Because it's not a grant.
It's not
charity. It's expected to be paid back. Those who can involve economic activity and has the capacity and the will and the integrity to also pay back this loan. So certainly we'll do more in the disabled area. But they also have to form association or cooperatives and approach
credible.
Yeah,
credible
so that they can filter those they think can access the loan and can pay back. Because if you pay back, we can even do it like a portfolio. Once you pay back, disabled people pay back. We look at the same disabled people again and give them the same type of loan.
And see what you can do to improve their lives quality.
Group, so that we encourage the disabled people in that group to be paid back.
But can somebody pay back the loan and come back again another time?
Of course. That's what we want.
That's the
because
same person?
If you, of course. It's better than somebody who take the loan and is not paying back. Okay. If you take the loan and pay, you know we are a serious person. Because the multiplier effect on the place is what we are looking at. If you take the loan and pay, it means that you have employed people, you have increased the GDP of the economy, you can even pay tax to the government. So it's those type of people we want that can pay back. Because we don't want people who will not pay back. Because if you are not paying back, you are doing a disservice to the bank, to the federal government.
In fact, to the nation. Interesting. You've addressed this, but maybe Aminu did not get to listen. He says it's Aminu. He didn't tell us where he's from. Please tell us where you are from. He said he applied for the NESAR loan with the aim of getting it, but perhaps because he didn't know anyone, he didn't get it. He said, furthermore, those that know people were given were still required to pay a certain percentage, even though they know it's a loan. That is, they had to give a gift to somebody. And he wraps it up by saying it's unfair.
Well, please report such people to police or EFCC. I can
not
tell
to
you,
NASA.
I report not. If you report, how would I do? I'm not a law enforcement agency. I will also refer you to the police or EFCC or ICPC. So essentially, what I'm saying, if there are people that are collecting, facilitating fee, please report them to NASAL or EFCC or any of these law enforcement. I'm aware of that. You see, the problem, mentality of Nigerians, they believe that this is a national cake. Also, people are also not patient. They are desperate. So in the process of being desperate, you have people who scam you and say that you have to pay facilitating fee and so on. So
there's no such thing?
I'm not aware of such things, at least not from my staff.
There shouldn't
if
be.
I have a such thing from my staff, which is under my control, I normally sanction them. But those that are not under my control, I have let it to do. But what I will only advise Nigerians is that, yes, we know there are so many Nigerians looking for this loan. It requires patience. Resources are limited. Because resources are limited, that's why some people feel they are not getting, or some people think you have to know somebody. But I can tell you, significant number of people have gotten this loan without knowing any person. That I can attest to it. And that is part of the success story. Because people who don't know anybody and they got it, they like to use it better. There are people who think maybe somebody helped them and their own national kid. So I'm also conscious of that. On that. So if people
Nigerians keep applying?
Well, they can keep applying, but as I told you, there are challenges around funding, and we'll do all we can, and that's why I said people should pay back. Okay. It's payback period now. We have done our bit. Let the public also pay back so that other people that are applying can also get.
May God help all those who took these loans and used it assiduously. And if you are facing challenges, let NASAL know. They will do their due diligence to ensure that you are speaking truth, and they will see what they can do to assist you. We want to thank you, Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of NASAL Microfinance Bank. It's interesting to know that many Nigerians can actually smile and live with a feeling of comfort at this time because of what you and your team have been doing. We pray that you continue to do more going forward. Abdullahi Kure. Thank you very much for making the time to be with us on Weekend Deal. You are watching Weekend Deal. Our program is interactive. We thank you for being in touch with us. Let us know who you are, where you are reaching us from. Be polite and courteous with your language. We'll take a break now.
Weekend Deal.
You're watching Weekend Deal on the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA. We have been examining the achievements of the President Muhammadu Buhari administration from 2015 up till now. Indeed, there have been challenges with electricity and electrification. Perhaps that's why government and governance looked towards solar. Dio did some research, and that's what we'll be bringing for you now. Dio, take it from here.
Electricity supply challenges are still many, and power cuts have become a recurring decimal in the life of Nigerians. The energy poverty is very huge, hence accessibility remains key issue. If the problem of irregular power supply is solved in Nigeria, many businesses would have solved their second biggest challenges after lack of access to finance. The grid power generation capacity in the country is put at 13,000 megawatts, but electricity that is presently generated, transmitted, and distributed to our homes is 4,000 megawatts, an abysmally low figure.
Imagine somebody in a rural community that his livelihood revolves around availability of electricity. So having that solar installed in that community, the weather will benefit, the cold drink person will benefit, everybody. So the economy activities in that community will be enhanced to a large extent, and their comfort too will be enhanced.
Interestingly, Nigeria's geographical location in the tropics offers the nation high rate of sunlight radiation, a veritable source of solar power all year round. Averaging 7 hours of sunlight per day, it is strongly believed that the environmental conditions have placed Nigeria at a good position to tap into renewable energy power sources.
Solar is for everybody because the sun is everywhere, except the day does not break. That's when you won't get power from the sun, even when it is raining. And in solar panels, the sun also shines at night. Both the rich and the poor, you will pay as much as your power need. If your power need just to light 2 or 3 bulbs, you will pay less. If your power need is to power the air conditioner, fridge, freezer, television, you will pay more. And the quality too also matters. Solar solutions are earthly, environmentally friendly.
Part of the response to the devastating impact of COVID-19 pandemic was the launch of Economic Suitability Plan, ESP. As part of the plan, the federal government launched the Solar Power NTA Programme to achieve the rollout of 5 million new solar-based connections in communities that are not connected to the national grid.
To reduce the hardship people go through accessing quality power, since the power from the national grid is erratic, and in most cases the voltage, even when they supply the power. So going solar in community, the way the government is going, is to cushion the suffering people go through to access power for their daily work and for their comfort.
The effort have yielded results with several new investment channels opening for the sector via NDPHC, NSIA, and NMPC, with build-up of more capacity and investment in the sector. Definitely, when the projects are completed, the program will result in increased power connections to both unserved and underserved communities in Nigeria.
The success of any governance depends on the commitment and the loyalty of its people. All hands must be on deck. That's why we invite you to join us again tomorrow morning, bright and early. More achievements of the PNB administration. See you again. Have a great day. Bye-bye.